What up, my freaks? RuinousInsight here with part 18 of my Total Warhammer 3 Zhatan the Black Immortal Empires campaign. So as we saw last time, the war has begun, mostly with the Skaven for now, as we have been taking on all of their armies, and I had a very nice battle with Yobah's Stormbreaker, or in reality, Gorda's Backstabber, but there will be other wars that will find us very shortly. I do imagine Goldtooth is going to come for us sooner rather than later, and we're going to have to try to build up some defenses on our border territories. I think in that light, before we start off the battles, like Scaff Stonebeard versus Deathmaster Snitch, and whatever else we have to do here, though maybe this is auto-resolvable, we'll see. Let us get a few military buildings up and running. So, in that light, we should probably transfer 100 labor here, and get a defensive structure. Where do we have a lot of... here. Ancient Giant Lands down on the labor, like so. And then we... I screwed that up. Down on the labor, and then we can move it to... Again, this place is called Jade River Delta, my bad. I wish I could remember better, but the memory, not so good. Let's see, Jade River Delta, one here, accept. Alright, this will allow us to rush this, so that Fuchao now has something of a garrison, nothing crazy, mind you. We could upgrade to the next level, which will give us access to a Dwarf Blunderbuss unit, although at 2,000 gold, and we would still have to probably rush it at some point. The production plant doesn't actually... Oh, actually, it changes 2 goblin laborers to 2 goblin cutthroats. Though this army by itself is not enough to take Fuchao, most likely, though I'm thinking we'll probably need a temporary defensive lord there. Speaking of temporary defensive lords, we'll probably need one here at the Shrine of the Alchemist, though nonetheless... we are going to build a defensive structure here as well. Although the garrison here is going to be lackluster because it is an outpost. That said, you won't be able to reach this in one turn anyway, so I think we're okay. And we can rush construction next time. Yeah. We'll rush it next time. Okie dokie, you are fine. And we will probably have to fight to figure out what exactly we have left in terms of the... remaining raw materials and money and such, rather than going in right now. So I guess that's what we'll do. We could also get Industrial Revolution right now, and then go back to Merchant Guilds and then Wartime Economy, though I'm thinking, wait, how many turns until we have a new convoy available? 9 and 5 here, but in reality... let me see here. Tower of Zharr. We will have one via access to this once these are unlocked. So, at most, this will be 5 turns. So in 5 turns, we need to have you up and running. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, and if this takes 3, 5. So we can pick either Wartime Economy, Basic and Advanced Military Buildings, or we can pick Industrial Revolution. Let's go for Industrial Revolution for now, then back to Merchant Guilds, and then back up to Veteran Convoy Master. I think that's the way to do it. Alright, it looks good to me. Now that is a considerable amount of raw materials, but we're good. Let's see, Yobahs, can you take out this little army here with an auto-resolve? Close victory, you say? Really close victory against this? Medium casualties. I'd really prefer to fight Snitch, but okay, fine, we'll fight this one as well. I guess they do have some Storm Vermin and some Rat Ogres, and actually a decent amount of Night Runners, and we are hurt. Alrighty, fine, we'll fight this, and then we'll do the admin, and then we'll fight Deathmaster Snitch as well right after. Here we go. Alrighty, here we go. I don't imagine this is going to be too difficult of a fight, though the enemy has almost a half stack of elites, 5 units of night runners of various kinds, as well as those rat ogres and the storm vermin and the enemy lords, so 8 units unless I'm mistaken. That said, of course, it still shouldn't be that difficult. Where are you aiming? Leave the enemy lord alone, Deathstreak, or at least if you're firing the split shot rockets. But anyway, the way I figure it, difficult battle or not. Ooh, nice shot from the magma cannon. Very, very nice. Difficult battle or not, we gotta enjoy the Skaven fights while we have them. After all, once we destroy Clan Eshin, assuming that they don't kill us, which somehow I doubt, once we destroy Clan Eshin, there's probably not going to be a lot of Skaven fights in the campaign, at least for a while. Depending on the status of Clan Rictus and Clan Moors, Clan Pestilence and Clan Scryer would probably make better allies, and I definitely want at least a couple Skaven allies because I do think that several of their units would go nice and be synergistic with our own units. And oh man, this would also enable us to make better war machine armies. We could have trains and doom wheels or doom flayers in one army, which would be just great. So we definitely have to try to get maybe Scryer on the field because they're fairly far from us and unlikely we'd be expanding all that way. Or Pestilence, depending on how we feel about the jungles, but I'll think about it. Anyway, I digress. We gotta enjoy these battles when we will while we can. Gordas is killing the enemy Warlock Master. I've also been enjoying our artillery get to work, who do seem to be doing fairly well in this particular battle. 6k and 73. We got, okay, well, the hat cannon isn't gonna do much right now, and oh wow, 174 and 13k damage on the other magma cannon. Yeah, unfortunately there isn't a lot of enemy... oh, here comes a bombardment. There's not a lot of enemy large units for the Death Shrieker to actually target with its single target ability, so it's not going to do too much in the way of killing, though it probably could have actually gotten a nice shot off on these guys while they were held back by the summoned goblin cutthroats. Otherwise, the battle is very much going in our way. The enemy continues to advance, but fails to go after our hobgoblin wolf raiders, who continue annoying them and screening screening our army as the enemy advances. The enemy is also, let's see, about, I want to say 80% in terms of favor, or we're at 80%, they're about at 20%. Their lord is being chased by our own lord and by Gordas and is probably dying in the background. At the very least, the enemy lord routed, and the enemy's actually kind of failing to reach our main line here as well, just getting wrecked by our range, whether it be artillery or all the goblin wolf raiders. Very nice. Ooh, I like this little bridge through the swampy area. These maps are quite lovely. I've really been enjoying the swampy maps of Cathay as well. And does this count as water? Like, does this count as shallow water that the enemy gets slowed down at? The enemy does look to be moving slow for Skaven, so I'm gonna say yes. Or at least I'm gonna assume so. Oh, have they actually managed to reach our front lines? Yes, indeed they have, so that means our goblin cutthroats will actually get a few hits in before the Skaven slaves are out, which is gonna be right now. Otherwise, it looks like with that Skaven slave unit, there isn't much left. A few Night Runners still fighting, but I don't imagine for much longer either. There we go. Absolute range superiority in this particular battle, which I don't really expect from this army, considering. But it did work out well against these guys. Beautiful. And with that, the battle ends, or at the very least, the actual fighting ends. Now we're going to use our wolf raiders to run down the enemy as best we can. We've gotten lots of labor from the Skaven in the past few battles, and I do expect plenty more labor to come from them right now. Just got to be careful with our artillery killing off our own units here. So we are targeting all artillery at the same enemies that we don't have goblin wolf raiders slowing down. And we're gonna have to stop shortly. There we go, get a few more enemies. Man, and it's always been such a weird thing how trees block artillery shots, but it almost feels weirder for the magma cannon, which should absolutely light everything on fire. Oh, that's a nice shot. Probably could have used that while the battle was raging. Alright, next time we encounter this map, We can look from up on high. Not that this particular battle would have been a great choice for this, because mostly the enemy died before they got to our lines. But anyway, decisive victory, and I'm expecting to see more from Gordas and Co. Alrighty, there we go, another 800 labor from that. Certainly a bonus to fighting the Skaven constantly. They have all of these massive piles of Skaven slave armies, which means just a massive pile of labor for us. There we go, transport to those captives, though, once again, auto-resolve. What the heck are you talking about? Medium casualties for that? It would have taken half our army away just to kill that little march-dancing Skaven slave stack, so can't appreciate it. Alrighty, anyway, Yobaz, you're going to go into ambush, and you're going to go here near Jiangxi in our own territory in the hopes that we can get Infecticate to come here. If not, if the hero, for example, here cancels our... you know what? Actually, I really doubt that that's going to work anyway. Could try March Stancing, although will that be an enemy territory? No, this is still Jiangxi. Huh. This guy will probably move back to Celestial Monastery, and I doubt that he will attack Jiangxi because it is walled. But we are still at half HP, so if we risk March Stancing, we might have to fight while in March Stance against 2 stacks. On the other hand, from the stacks that we've seen so far, they haven't been that powerful, so you know what? We're gonna risk this. You're gonna go into March Stance, still stay in our territory, and going near this army, and then at least this way you'll be able to hit one of the next enemy territories next turn. We gotta make gains as fast as we possibly can right now. Next up, Zhatan. You can move out as well. And Internal Recruiter. You, well, we'll leave Lokir alone. You need to head out to where you can recruit, so let's get you out here. Lokir can't hit you anyway. Yeah, we're fine. Now, as for temporary lords, we could get one up and running at Fuqiao, especially if there's a decent one. Power Reserve and some magic increasing, Cowardly, Vengeful, Phlegmatic, Choleric, and Aggressive and Hateful. Okay, I really don't like any of these. Hateful's okay. Cooldown reduction for lore for all spells, eh? But the leadership is not that big of a deal, especially since we wouldn't be using goblins, at least not many, in a Sorcerer Prophet army, because Overseers buff them directly. We have Bilious here and Conceited. Huh, not a big fan of either of those. Well, that's a crying shame. Also, we still want to get the upgrade here at Fuqiao of the defensive structure, just in case. Don't really care about the labor, however. You know what? We're still going to need to recruit, and if we're going to recruit somebody temporarily, it's probably... Power Reserve versus Chance of Magic increasing. Ugh. I wish these were okay. I guess Hateful, Death and Destruction is really the only decent one. Even if I, once again, don't really care for the leadership. But, as a single lord, fire isn't that great, as in a level 1 lord, because of the basic spell that it gets is going to be Fireball, as opposed to something like Searing Doom, which is quite nice. And Burning Wrath is quite a bit better as well. Maybe we'll get the Envious guy. Alright, let's get the Envious guy. You just sit here. We don't actually care if he dies, he just needs to be here to defend, potentially. And you know what, let's get him some cheap goblin laborers to make sure that we can hold the place a little bit better. Alright. I mean, I guess we could go for the orc laborers, but I'm not really willing to pay the money for them. Alrighty, next up, Bait Shy. Are you far enough away from stuff that you are not worried about getting attacked? We could get the Brine Well for Salt if we wanted to. Or we could get a defensive structure here just in case Nakai comes north, and he probably will. In fact, out of curiosity, who is Nakai at war with? He's at war with the Jiangxi rebels and with us, so either he goes for them, or he goes for us, so there really isn't much in the way of what we can do. Can we maybe ask you to join the war against the Spirit of the Jungle? No. Unlikely. Okay, what about these guys? We don't actually have contact with them, damn. Alrighty, I guess then temporarily we'll build the defenses up at Beit Chai, just in case. Hopefully we won't need them, and at the end of the day we can always delete those afterwards. Alrighty, next up, what do we have? Let's start upgrading the Altar of Fire to the next level here, so we get another Demonsmith Sorcerer, and we'll need to do the same thing here, but after a while. We probably will also want to upgrade... Well, not you, not yet anyway. We do have a decent amount of raw materials, so I imagine that there's at least one location somewhere that we can get some money from, or additional money. I could also probably rush you. Or you. Yeah, we need to take a look at the... Yeah, alright, fine. We need to take a look at where we can rush stuff as well. So, starting here, not really worth it. Dragon's Crossroad, we can still rush a little bit more. 160, get more money per turn. At least this way, the current way that we're making money, we're not losing any raw materials for it. As opposed to getting raw materials. Oh, right, we have to attack you as well. We are not losing raw materials in the form. Should upgrade that. Although, yeah, we should probably get the access to the Wolf Riders. Via building the refineries out of the factories is what I was trying to get at. By... building just the scavenger locations instead. Anyway, Wei Jin, you're fine. I really would like to upgrade more of these things. We have no labor upgrades at Nangao, so I think we'll leave it as it is. Shangyang. I'm still tempted to upgrade you, but let's see if there's money on the table. We could also upgrade Beichai while we're at it. Ancient Giant Lands, we once again don't care about you, and we want to potentially transfer the labor out of there. You know what? Let's transfer, or let's build the battlements here. We don't really need labor here. And we need labor somewhere else. So it'll be somewhere where we can actually get to direct money benefit, like here, although we don't have much in the way of transferage. And we can always transfer next turn. Ooh, -8 and -6. Well, -6 we don't care about. -8 in the Warpstone Desert, though. You know what, let's set an example here. And we'll leave this one alone. I don't think we have any labor to sell, though. At the current time. Yeah, Plains of Shen is at 719 again. Oh, wow. And you've got plenty of labor. Oh, but you can't... Yeah, we would have rushed it if we could, but Lokir's sieging. But he'll probably attack next turn, in which case he'll die anyway, so it hardly matters. Alrighty, next up, you... Huh, we could get some free XP from this. Wait, you go here. We can actually also use this guy to steal tech. And... well, it'll take him longer to get to the Gabo army this way, though. I do like the idea of him stealing tech. You know what? Go here. Maybe steal tech at Village of the Moon, and there, by the time you get to it, we can meet up with... Ah, damn, I should have moved you to Kunlan. Nah, too late now. And just to get the free XP, but oh well. From scouting ruins, I mean. Anyway, that'll resolve this. Tiny bit of damage, a free gleaming pennant, and we will take the place as a... I guess another outpost. Yeah. Alrighty, and this place will now have 2 outposts, which means we can also build up another money pit and another strip mine as soon as we're ready. Beautiful. Plus, we also have the Masterful Architects available, and you can get a few more Gabo laborers. Granted, we'll replace those with better stuff like centaurs and stuff, but in a few turns. Alrighty, that now looks pretty good to me. Let's double check the Diplo, and if there's nothing, we fight Deathmaster Snitch. Ooh, wait. We need to build the temporary lord. Now we can wait a turn, it's fine. It's just fine. Alrighty, Diplo and then Snitchy. Jiangxi rebels we will not ally with. I'd love to get a trade agreement going with somebody. Valkia. No, we can't do Valkia.
Darkling Prince.
Yeah, sadly. She's hated by the Dark Elves, and I'd really prefer the Dark Elves as allies later on. We do know Nagaron, do we not? These guys do not like our strategic threat, but that's about it. Nagaron would probably be a great trading partner over time. What if we were to declare war against... Ugh. Well, what about Valkia? Would you do it? Nah, you wouldn't do it. Only 5.9. Alright, we'll keep an eye on that. He'll probably start fighting the Drowned and the Exiles of Nehek and probably the Sisters of Twilight as well. And when he does, we can join those wars because they're too far from us to care. And then, at that point, we can get some trade agreements going with them. Alrighty, now that that's good, let us hit Snitchy. Alright, close victory and medium casualties once again, but this time they have some frightening things, i.e. Snitch himself as well as that Poison Wind Mortar, and they do have the Eshin Clan Stone as well as obviously the Menace below. Alright, looks like a fun fight. Here we go. Alrighty, Scaff is going to be at it again. He's been taking on a lot of legendary lords throughout this campaign, and it looks like we're going to face off against Deathmaster Snitch this time around. Now, we are going to try to damage the enemy formation a little bit before we actually move in with the rest of their army, or maybe before we force the enemy to move towards us once the reinforcement arrives. But the main thing here is those Poison Wind Mortars. We want those destroyed before the enemy can fire them on our main host. After all, this particular army does not have any artillery pieces, and we gotta be wary of these scary weapon teams. Alright, so that is going to be up to Scaff. The enemy does have some range units, but their anti-air defenses are relatively meager in this particular case, especially since we can easily keep out of the range of the gutter runners, who are a lot more frightening than the gutter runners with shuriken rather than the gutter runners with slings. The slings can hit us, but they can easily be dodged, and the shurikens have a lot more damage output, so those are the ones to be wary of. And anyway, in the meantime, we continue attacking and annoying this little unit of Poison Wind Mortars, though it looks like they are staying together with a unit of Skaven Slaves, who are acting as a little bit of a meat shield. Although if they block each other sufficiently enough, we might be able to drop a bombardment on them. Just gotta pay attention. The slings are firing at us, but we don't care about that. Just move away from them, dodge them, and get back into it. We're also getting a little bit of a skirmish action over on the flank over here, as our two units of Wolf Raiders are annoying an enemy unit of Clan Rats. This was the summoned unit of Clan Rats, and will now continue annoying the rest of these guys, like this unit of Clan Rat Spears, who have lost about half of the HP they started with to the annoyance of the Wolf Raiders. Anyway, we still have 11 units on those Poison Wind Mortars, so a lot more work left to do on him. There's a Fire Breath coming down, not the Bale Taurus Fire Breath, but the Fire Breath we have from our item. Here comes another Burning Wrath, and we're gonna pop that bombardment. Let's see if we can manage to land it. Yes, indeed we can. Beautiful. Not going to do too much damage to the other rat units, and actually a little bit less than I'd like on the Poison Wind Mortars, but we're still working on it. Besides, it's better to have activated that ability before we needed it again when we defend against the main enemy army. Speaking of defending, it looks like the enemy did summon a unit of Clan Rats on our Hobgoblin Archers. They killed 6 of them, but otherwise it's not that much. We do have a fairly decent position up here, a nice little hill that we can't... Too bad we can't go all the way up here. This is impassable terrain, unfortunately. But still, we have elevation advantage in the form, or for our range units, whether it be for the Hobgoblin Archers or for the Blunderbusses. Alright. And let's see, we got nearly half HP on those Poison Wind Mortars. It's taking time, but at the same time, Scaff isn't really losing much in terms of investment for this, and getting occasional Fire Breaths and whatnot on cooldown really isn't that bad. Looks like the 2 units of Hobgoblin Raiders did manage to kill a unit off, and are now switching to the next unit of Clan Rat Spears. Skirmisher Cav can be quite annoying like this, especially when the enemy isn't fast enough to chase them down and doesn't have any ranged units to really threaten them out. They do have the occasional Warp Fireball though, but killing off 2 units is honestly not a big deal. There's not enough Warp Fireballs in the enemy army for the entire battle to knock these guys out. Oh! Something hit. Was that Deathmaster Snitch? Sure, no, you probably used your spell. Warp Stars. Warp Stars is quite cheap, might actually be quite good for this particular use against a weak unit of Cav like this. Though generally I dislike Warp Stars. I've never found a particularly good use for them, and hey, we're trying to run around the enemy army and getting a few shots off on the enemy mortar here, with once again help from our lord. But we're going to have to book it on out of there before the mortars actually hurt too many of our cav. Not to worry, we'll come back around. That's the beauty of having an annoying couple of units like this. And if the enemy decides to separate itself too far from the poison wind mortars, we can simply land on them with our own lord. It does look like the antkill has been thoroughly kicked, or the rat mound, I don't know what to call it. It's been kicked, and the enemy is now advancing towards us. Deathmaster Snitch and the entire army will be there soon. There are a few critical units that we do want to kill. The Night Runners and the Warp Grinders. Definitely don't want a Warp Quake killing off all of our Goblin units, as they would be pretty vulnerable to it. Alrighty, it looks like our Wolf Raiders are coming back. Should be able to get at least a few more volleys off on the enemy units of mortars, and at the very least, this is keeping the mortars far enough back from our main line so that they can't hurt them. The mortars run because it's time for Scaff to come down and do a little bit of damage in melee. Very nice. Couple more mortars drop, and I see Scurry Away activate. Their HP is down to about 10%, and it looks like they will not be contributing to this battle. Beautiful. That was the main enemy unit. Yeah, there's still Deathmaster Snitch and all those Night Runners to concern ourselves with, but with all of our blunderbuss power, I think we should be able to deal with that. Here comes the main enemy army. The archers begin to fire. We're also going to move away our dwarf warriors with axes. One to go after Mr. SNIKCH, and the others just to go on the flanks to protect our range units from an enemy flanking maneuver. And there we go, all the archers now trying to focus down this unit of Warp Grinders. Hopefully we can force them to run before they activate any of their annoying abilities. Although if they activate them just to kill off one unit of Hobgoblins, that's not going to be a big deal. Though it looks like they will activate none of them, as they are immediately shattered and unable to do anything else. Once again, quite a nice position here. The enemy continues to march forward, but only into getting a face full of whatever the blunderbusses fire. Face full of iron, I don't know. Alrighty, very nice. Balance of power is now very much in our favor at about 60-65% and climbing. Scaff unfortunately did get caught by some Eshin Triads and Skaven Slave Spears, but we did finally move our Hobgoblin Sneaky Gits out from this side to help them out. The Eshin Triads did do a number on the Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders with bows, as they did also get caught while trying to chase off the units of the Poison Wind Mortars, but that's fine. They can simply run around and catch other units while these two continue to fight. Still, I think the main army, or the main portion of the battle, is a little bit more interesting, so that's what we'll watch. We've certainly seen Scaff do his thing many a time before, and I like the combined arms a little bit more. There we go, blunderbusses. Blunderbusses almost feel wasted on units like Skaven Slaves and Clan Rats, because the units are just so weak. Alrighty, down they go. Another unit activating Scurry Away. It does look like the enemy Lord has joined the fray as well and is fighting, and Deathmaster Snitch is actually doing fairly well over here. He's been doing quite a bit of damage to our Chaos Dwarf warriors with great weapons, who are now down to about half HP, while trying to hold him back together with a unit of Skaven Slaves and a unit of Clan Rats. That's okay though, because at the end of the day, the damage so far suffered by our units is not all that much. Looks like we've also managed to catch a unit of Night Runners in the background, and our Dwarf Warriors can do the work. I can't wait to get Infernal Guard and more armies with Dwarf Warriors as well, because I really like these units, and I really like our color scheme. The dark blue is quite nice and soothing. There we go. Lulls you into a false sense of security. Alright, oh, hello. It's a mini-maw. It's a mini-maw pit, but it leads into an underground. Ah, too bad we can't move the camera down there. Oh, this is a really nice little detail on this map. I wonder why it's a mini-maw, though. We're kind of far from the maw in this particular location. Maybe everywhere here just becomes mini-maws. And basically, any hole in the ground, mini-maw. I mean, at least that's been my experience with most of these in these maps. But anyway, balance of power is now at about 75, maybe 80% in our favor. It looks like we've shattered the Triads, Escape and Save Spears, and Clan Rats are destroyed, and only the Night Runner, or Gutter Runners, better remain for Scab to take out. He has popped his healing potion, is now back to about 75% HP, and I don't imagine we'll have too much trouble with those Gutter Runners. Oh, it looks like the enemy has an Eshin Sorcerer out here. And maybe we can gut him down. There we go, well done to the blunderbusses. While the arrows take care of the rest of the units as they try to run away. Alright, Eshin Sorcerer down to about half HP, and well, if it isn't an enemy Warlord. Ouch. That poor blunderbuss. I like how there was one guy out front, though. He took the charge of that Warlord. Well done. It's okay, we can fire in other directions, though. Looks like Scaff has managed to catch up to the Gutter Runners, which are routing, and it looks like, in fact, with that, the rest of the army is going to rout. There's still Snitch and the Sorcerer and the Warlord on the field, but they're all about half HP, Snitch at 3/4, and it's not like we actually have to kill them, we merely have to shatter their army, which certainly worked out. Now we can make sure that we actually kill these guys off. Snitch is doing the dance. Huh. Oh, I didn't think that that units could do the dance while running. No, I don't think they can. It's just that he didn't know where to run, and he's gonna have to run uphill into a pile of blunderbusses. I think I regret not doing this as the battle started, actually, because we could have gunned him down before he did too much damage. I was expecting him to be a little bit more fragile, to be perfectly frank, because he spent the entire battle fighting a unit of dwarf warriors, but a few volleys from the blunderbusses would have knocked him down just as easily as they did Miao Ying and Jiao Ming in the previous battle. But anyway, still the rest of the army does have to be destroyed because we want the additional labor from all this, and the blunderbusses should be pretty adept at killing any unit that runs past them, though unfortunately this army doesn't have much in the way of faster moving units other than those two Wolf Raiders, one of which is badly hurt, so they won't be as effective as Gordez's Gobbo army at chasing stuff. Yeah, another Maw, a mini Maw. Ooh, I like the shadow of the mini Maw in the underground, and it's like it's making the Great Maw symbol on the water below. Considering this is, actually this is reasonably close to the Great Maw, isn't it? I'm now just wondering how far from the eastern edge of the Mountains of Morn, where the Great Maw is located, close to Cathay and the Warpstone Desert. I wonder how far the influence of the Great Maw spreads into making everything nearby a mini Maw. I gotta pay attention to where exactly it goes, as in the distance. Also, nice little shrine or entrance to something, perhaps. I should have zoomed in on that in this little skull. Yeah, it looks like there's a door behind the gate there. Nice. Anyway, I'm getting distracted by the map, but you guys should be used to it by now. Anyway, close victory for us, and most of the enemy army destroyed. I don't actually imagine we took all that much in the way of damage, though with the exception of the unit that fought Snitch. Either way, we should be fine. Though, actually, let's think about this. Alrighty, not too bad, I think. Deathmaster Snitch's army destroyed, and only 369 losses, less than we got when we fought Jiao Ming. Most of the times we're in, we usually lost about 500 at a quarter of our army. Deathmaster Snitch, quite impressive, getting 95 kills and heavily damaging one of our Chaos Dwarf warrior units with great weapons. As usual, our units of the blunderbusses cleaning house, but that's what they do, and we did do a good job in preventing the enemy from getting really too much mileage out of their elites, mainly their warp grinders and their poison wind mortars. And then the Eshin Triads did some damage, but at 2.6k it's really not all that bad. Alrighty, and we're gonna reclaim the place as, once again, I believe, an outpost. Although, Because of the better garrison, maybe we want to temporarily take this place as a factory instead, build up the defensive garrison and then change it out to an outpost later on. Yes, I've convinced myself, and oh! He gets stock from this. That's actually not horrible. If he has no access to stock himself as a flying wizard, that can be quite nice, I think. Alright, I'm happy with that defeat rate. Let's keep on going through firing drills. I think we still don't really have the mana to cast all that much. Now we're gonna need to give chase to Shife. Or hope that he dies at Shrine of the Alchemist. Once again, it'll be really annoying if he goes for Wang Chang instead. But we'll see. Though at the very least, in our own territories, we have access to the Dreadquake Mortar. So let's hope that we're okay. Shanwu, we are going to get the factory guardhouse here. It should be up by itself, as in we shouldn't necessarily have to rush it. You upgrade, give us what? You increase by 1 the number of Hobgoblin archers, and that is it. So not really all that much. Might still be worth our time. Then again, if we're gonna just change it to an outpost later on anyway. You know what, just stay as you are, and we'll see. The problem is there's a very high likelihood that an ogre army comes down, and they're going to get through. They're going to get through Shanwu, and they're probably going to get through Hanyu Port, though we probably also want to build a defensive structure at Hanyu Port. That reminds me. 1.84. Oh, wow. Is there anywhere where we have a little bit of labor that we can sell off in order to fund this? Ancient Giant Lands, probably you. Alright, here's what we'll do. We'll sell off, then we will... Let's see, this place is going to need 200 to rush this. So we will transfer to the Wastelands of Jinshan once again from the Ancient Giant Lands. Where's... Wastelands of Jinshan right here. 1, 2. Accept? Yes. And we should have just enough cash to do this. And, yeah, Potion of Speed, and to do this. There we go. Hopefully we can hold on to both. Oh, and we might as well get those Tribute Collectors up and running here, because we won't be replacing those. Kind of interesting that we've turned from no fortifications anywhere to suddenly starting to need to fortify. I do have to keep an eye out on sudden Grimgore attack, though, because Granite Spikes is also not fortified, and these places could fall quite quickly if it comes down to it. We shall see. We may need another army there, but we'd obviously have to fund it. Anyway, I think with that, especially with 2 battles having been fought this time around, I'm going to call the episode here. Next time, well, we continue defending and we continue attacking both at the same time. Hopefully we'll be able to take a few more territories here as Zhatan and Yobaz are poised to attack. We also do still have Thrunbaj, who was going to be a potential temporary army, but now he has a decent stack, and even though it's costing us 2,000 gold, he should be able to take a few places. Oh, Kunlun is the capital, so we may need Zhatan to help out with that, but we can at least give siege to it, probably. Alrighty, are decently happy with the way our war is progressing with the Skaven so far, but they still have, let's see, just out of curiosity. And they have 10 settlements, yeah, so this one's gonna last for quite a bit longer than the fight against Lokir, I would think. So at the very least 2 or 3 more episodes. So anyway, stay tuned for more rat fighting, as well as possibly ogres, more Cathians, and lizards arriving, as well as I'm sure they've started on their path towards us. Don't forget to leave a like and comment. All glory to the algorithm. And thanks for watching.